Welcome. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Bree.
On Beyond the Marley, we bring you exclusive interviews with some of the biggest names in the dance team world. Each episode features an engaging conversation with top professionals who share tips and tricks for success and powerful stories that will leave you feeling inspired. Whether you are a seasoned pro or just getting started in the dance team world, Beyond the Marley podcast has something for you.
Hey, it's my turn for a short episode solo series where we bring you some of the advice on various topics for dancers and coaches. Today is perfect timing for those teams that are heading off to nationals. I was able to witness the greatness that unfolded at college cheer and dance nationals this past weekend. Repping the gear right here. I cannot believe the talent, and just congratulations to all of those that were on the floor this past weekend. No matter if you took home the championship or not, getting there is half the battle. And truly, there wasn't a bad routine. Everything was top notch. So I wanted to give a little shout out. And actually, it's not to a dance team, it's to a cheer team. I want to give a shout out to the Minnesota cheer team. I don't know if anyone knows this fun fact, but University of Minnesota was the first college cheer team in our nation. It's back in the 1800s. I believe it's 1898 or somewhere around there. But anyway, they took home their first national title in school history. So congratulations to Coach Dan and the team for a remarkable season. And what just a spectacular weekend celebrating the best dancers and cheer team in our nation and truly in our world. It's unbelievable. And just the standards that are being set. I know personally, the younger generation, they already are dissecting every routine and trying to get all the tricks and the skills and the turns. So again, shout out to these teams. You continue to set the standard and it just keeps getting better and better every single year. Okay, today we are going to talk about what it takes before you see those teams hit the floor. Winning the warm-up floor. After 15 years of coaching, doing warm-ups, witnessing various coaches and teams doing warm-ups from different ages, from college to high school to all-stars, to all the different styles, I've studied and analyzed what I believe to be is the perfect warm-up so that your team can feel confident and ready to hit the stage and make it 2 minutes of greatness. So today I'm going to share with you the top 10 ways that you can make your next competition a winning warm-up. So let's get started. Number 1, plan. I love this quote. Not sure where I heard it from or who said it, but fail to plan, plan to fail. I'm sure that's also in one of my top books, John Wooden on leadership. It's so important to plan. As a coach, it is your job to have the plan. So starting with, where are warm-ups located? How much time do you need to get to warm-ups? Where are they exactly? Arrive on time to your check-in. My motto is always early is on time is late, and late is never acceptable. Having that buffer time planned out. When are you leaving the location that maybe you're stretching at, have all your step at, to walk to your warm-ups? Have that planned and figured out. And also just remember that there are crowds. If you're at nationals, there's crowds everywhere. So just making sure that you're giving yourself that plenty of time to get to your warm-ups. Have you shared with your dancers prior to entering warm-ups what the flow is going to be and the expectations? For younger dancers, I like to remind them of how we're going to win the warm-up, giving examples and non-examples. Examples, we're going to win the warm-up because everyone's eyes are going to be on me when the music is off. We're going to win the warm-up because when that music's off, and you're going to quickly huddle around me and quickly get to your spot. We're going to win the warm-up by focusing on what we are doing and not what's happening around us. So just giving all those examples and non-examples that you can, especially for your younger dancers. If you have another coach or athlete that is with you but not doing the routine, make sure you utilize them. Give them important roles and jobs. Timekeeper. Have someone be the timekeeper for you, because I know that we all know it's I get 12 minutes or 6 minutes, depending on what competition you're at. However, when you're in that moment, you're not thinking of, I started at 12:56. What time do I have to be off of this? You're not thinking about that. You're thinking about what you need to be doing with your athletes. So having that timekeeper of giving you that like 5-minute warning or 2-minute warning really helps. Also, music. Have someone else run your music. Sometimes that music, if you're lucky, it will be in front, so where you're facing the dancers, but other times it's behind your dancers. So making sure that you have someone available, if possible, to do the music for you. And another tip I love about music is writing down those sections you know you're going to want to drill on the warm up floor more than once. So having those music cues that at 128, that is when we're doing our turn sequence. So if you have someone else doing that music, they quickly can do that. It saves you time. Also, it prepares your dancers to know right where that music's going to start and you're not wasting too much time. And if you're by yourself, again, you don't want to be thinking about those things. You want to have it automated. So having that list helps you in that moment to stay calm and focused and go right to that, okay, turn section here, 128 or wherever it may be. So definitely just have that plan. Number 2, practice. Practice in your gym or your studio before you even get to your competition. Practice with loud music using various styles. Man, college nationals warm up, y'all, that's crazy. When I walked into that warm up room and saw there's 11 floors, and you have some people doing game day with drums with the band there, and you got cheer doing their cheers, and you got a team trying to do a feel me jazz, like get the emotions in their jazz routine. Wow. And having 11 different speakers happening at one time, that was wild. Now, granted, it's college, and yes, the dancers can handle that overstimulated experience, but it still is really challenging and overstimulating for anyone's mind. Practice that before going to the competition. You can do that in your own gym and studio. Turn your dancers different ways. Have crowd noise pumping through a different speaker than your music's playing. Have distractions, having things throwing up and down, getting kind of them off their normal routine. So if you are walking through their formation, bouncing basketballs, whatever you got to do to like make that distracting in practice to then be able to, when they hit the warm up floor, they've already experienced an overstimulating warm up. So definitely practice, and then make sure you are communicating the expectations to your dancers. Here's your expectations for warm ups, and clearly define those for them. Number 3, coach energy. This, I feel like if I had to choose, like what makes a great coach from a good coach, it would be this: energy. Where your energy goes, your energy will flow. So coaches, I get it. I have failed at this multiple times. If we are anxious, if we are in a hurry, if we are nervous. So when we feel that, our body posture, our tone, body language, eyes, our way we're speaking to people, all of that plays into our athletes. They watch us. And I've spoken to many, many coaches that are like, yeah, my athletes are almost like stalkers. There's like watching me, like for something. So they're little mini stalkers watching us. But with that, just know that we have to keep our emotions and our anxiety under control. Some of the best tips I have for that is, one, if you know you're an anxious person, which I feel like 99% of coaches are, one thing I find helpful is to have a fidget. I honestly always have a fidget, like here at my desk, like, yep, here's one right here. Just a little fidget, something in the hands that's putting the output of that anxiousness. You can hide it in your pocket so your athletes don't even have to see it. It's just something to have an output for. And that really helps our body regulate and keeping us calm. Zone of proximity. Decide and also communicate before warm-ups. What is your expectations? When you're doing warm-ups, do you expect your dancers, music's off, you want to give them some kind of feedback or reminder? They need to come and huddle. Like think of like football. They come and they huddle. And that way they can clearly hear you. Their eyes are on you. Everyone's on the same page. Also, if you have alternates, they should be in that huddle with you. They have an important role. So make sure that anyone and everyone that's with your team at that moment is in that huddle, listening. Everyone's on the same page. So do you have that expectation? Or do you have a different way to communicate? I truly saw this at college nationals. I think it was a cheer team. Shout out to that team. I'm not sure which one it was, but they had a really large cheer team. And again, as I said, the warm-ups at college nationals are the first warm-ups. There's 2 different warm-ups, but the first room of warm-ups are really crazy. But I saw this coach, he had a block rocker that all of us, carry and roll around with us, but he had a microphone that was hooked up to it and had it at the warm-up floor. And clearly his athletes could hear everything he was saying. And honestly, being at the floor right next to them, it didn't bother me because A, I was focused on what was happening on that floor, but B, the block rocker was faced towards their athletes. It was no different than just having another speaker. So I don't think there's any rules. You have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's any rules against it. I thought it was a really smart idea and an easy way to communicate. I think with like younger kids, sometimes those huddles, as we have the best intentions, getting them back to whatever formation can be challenging. Now, again, if you have older dancers, high school dancers, college dancers, that's not a problem. So just know, like, how are you going to communicate? And I will say this comes from failure. Here's a story. We are backstage at an all-star competition. And all-star competitions, not always, but typically the warm-up floors are right behind the performance floor. And so you hear the crowd and you hear the performance loud music, and then you have your warm-ups right behind there. So it can also be a lot. So this is early on in the all-star coaching career and trying to communicate to our tinies. I think at the moment it was like, I was just trying to ask them if they were supposed to be on a tape. And so you're shouting because it's so loud. All of a sudden, we had our whole team of tinies pretty much crying. I think all but like one. And we just were like, oh, gosh, what's wrong? Like, what is wrong? And we gather them up and they're like, you're screaming. And I was like, no, 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 no. You're not in trouble. You are fine. But that's when I realized our facials expression when you are shouting can look mean. It can look intimidating. You have an adult shouting at you. And as a tiny human, you don't know if they're doing that because they're in trouble or what that's about. So that was my wake up call of like, oh, yes, that's right. Okay. So now we even say to every one of our teams, like, we are not shouting at you because we're mad. We're trying to get you to hear us. I also personally use the huddle technique. And so that's just been one of those fail and figure it out moments. The more calm you can be, the more trust the athletes have in you as their coach. So just to wrap that up, the more calm you can be, the more trust they will have. Keep your energy in check, calm. And when they are anxious, they look to you. You got this. I believe in you. You got this. Trust yourself, trust your training. Those type of affirmations in those moments help the athletes remain calm as well and can calm down their brains that are going in hyper anxious mode. Number 4, formations. The struggle is real, my friends. The struggle can be real. Are you on a tape? Are you on a space? Are you on halves? Are you on quarters? What are you doing? And no matter how many times you did it in the studio or gym, you get to that warm-up floor and it's like, this is brand new information. Again, staying calm. So something with, depending on your age and level, I like to have formations with me. So if that's on an iPad or something that I can quickly do, if there's somebody else with you, it's helpful to have, again, like an alternate can be checking. Have those formations up for them so that as you're going through the routine, they can be going, check that formation's right. And then letting you know if like that formation wasn't right. Having someone check that for you is helpful. And if you don't have that, again, with the younger ones, I really stress like having that with you because in that moment, especially if you're like, this is my 4th routine, you don't know if Sally is supposed to be on the tape or the space in that moment. So again, having that calm and just saying, let me have that. Check. Yep, you're in the right spot. A fun trick I found very helpful is a laser pointer. So I got this idea from our photographer. And so she has this laser pointer that she's like, here, stand here. Please stand here. Be in the right spot. And I'm like, that is such a genius idea for formations. So yeah, I take a little handy dandy laser pointer And if I know that Sally is supposed to be on the tape and she's not, I just put that laser pointer right here, right there on that tape and say, this is your spot, find the dot. And the dancers know, like, okay, if I see that dot, I know that I'm not in the right spot. Also they have cute ones now that are like stars and happy faces. So yeah, check that out. The laser pointer, really awesome. Save your voice, save you from pointing and having to shout over that music. Get in your spot. Also, my last tip for formations is don't get stuck in the formations. I know this is such an important piece of the routine. However, use the time prior to going to the warm up if you feel like your team needs to run over formations. Use that first run through to make it more about reminders and move on. Too many times I've seen coaches get stuck in worrying about formations and then they run out of time and they haven't even been able to run through the routine fully. So just make sure that you don't get stuck in it. Again, this depends on the age and the level of your dancer. Just be cautious of what can you do besides just walk to your formation stand, walk to your formation stand. I used to be a coach like that. And over the years, I found that is not the best use of our time during that warm-up floor. So don't get stuck in the formations. I get it's important, but make sure that you're using that in different ways. Maybe you're going through the dance with music top to bottom and telling the dancers do a for you is what I like to call. So any skills they want to do at that moment, but the focus of the team is formations in that for you. Number 5, break it up, or is it a full out FFOs? This could be different between coaches depending on your style. I've seen coaches do it many different ways. And it, again, like what the level of the dancer is. What I personally have found to be the most effective for the most high achieving teams is I've seen that quarter full outs seem to work best. I like the quarter full outs because one, you're getting that full out in the quarter. You're getting those first time jitters out. Think about it. Like the first time your dancers go to do a full out in your gym and studio, is that really their best full out? Probably not. I don't care who you are. The answer probably is not. So on the warm up floor, it's just that. It's time to get those first moments out of the way, do that skill, making it a full out, but not dwelling on the parts, right? Then think of it more as like a Tabata, right? You're doing a full out, then you're getting a 30-second rest. So while they're doing that rest, that's that moment you can go huddle and say, okay, here's the reminders for the next section, or here's some things to remember for next time. So yeah, just making sure that they are getting that heart rate up, they're getting those nerves out, but yet they're not using that max energy so that they're able to fully do it on the floor. By the end, you've ran the full routine, but you've done it in sections, and now they have the energy for the performance and they've done the full out moments. And so this leads me to the next number 6, which is limit your feedback. Now, I know coaches out there, you're like, but I see this, and this, I gotta tell them. Trust me, I understand. So just know that the warm-up floor is not the time to be cleaning or making changes. It is the time to be helping dancers feel prepared and confident. Reminders about recent cleans and changes is given in a positive way. I try to keep it to no more than 3 reminders. If they're little, I might even say 1 reminder. Now, I understand if Susie over there is all of a sudden doing the wrong arm, you need to let Susie know she's doing the wrong arm. However, again, limit what your feedback is, because this is not the time to be cleaning, and it's so hard to do. Maybe at the college level, there can be some like little bit of cleans, but even at that level, I would say the time has passed for those cleans. Just reminders at that point of what you've cleaned or changed and given in a positive way and pumping them up. Number 7, fluke or a pattern. How many of you have been there? You've been on the warm-up floor, skills not hitting. You've seen that dancer do that skill over and over in the studio, and they go, oh, it's the floor. Oh my gosh, it's not my turn day. The worst excuses, not allowed to be said on the floor, but we've all heard them. So this is the moment where, in your calmness of a coach, you need to go back to trusting. Pour into the athlete. I trust you. You got this. I believe in you. Trust your training. And going back to your personal coaching philosophy prior to even this day, if you are seeing a skill not hit, and I like to say if it cannot hit 3 to 5 times in a row with correct technique, then again, 3 to 5, depending on the age and level. Like if you're college, it should be happening. It should be a pattern of always hitting that skill. Okay. So, but there are times that flukes happen. We've all seen it and we all understand. However, if that's not hitting, no magic wand is going to happen where that dancer is going to hit it at the warm-up floor and competition day. So just make sure you are evaluating the skills that you're putting in and can they confidently hit that. Now, let's say you're on the warm-up floor, you have a dancer that confidently has been hitting those skills and all of a sudden they are not. I had an athlete do this at our last competition, and this athlete in particular gets overly anxious on the warm-up floor. And you, in that moment, have to just go up to them, put your hands on their shoulders, eye to eye, and say, I believe in you. You got this. Deep breaths. We're not going to do it again. Let's go and move on. And guess what happened on the stage? Beautiful. Just got to trust them. And another thing I've seen is if you have a dancer maybe struggling, like have the team gather around and cheer them on. Let them know that they got it. So don't dwell, move on. And if you see the pattern, let's say, unfortunately, it doesn't hit on stage and that's becoming a pattern, just take it out the next time you're at a competition. The warm-up floor is not that moment. Okay. Staying calm. The moment that you're on the warm-up floor and something's not hitting for them and you say, nope, we're taking that out, you're not going to do it, is the moment that they now no longer believe because a coach no longer believes in them, in that skill. It's not the moment. So make sure that you're using that moment. If you are going to take out a skill, do it after the competition, do it in your studio, give that explanation. It has to be hitting consistently and remaining calm, fluke or pattern. Number 8, visualize. Take time to get in a circle and visualize this routine. I start this at the tiny age, and honestly, are the tiniest, the young tinies able to close their eyes and actually hope that they're visualizing their routine? No, probably not. Actually, it's not even like developmental that they could do that. However, I do want them to learn the procedure and the process of it and exposing them. It's totally fine to be exposing dancers at any age to visualization. So even if that's, hey, before we take the warm-up floor, we are standing in a circle and we are visualizing the routine. We hear the music, our eyes are closed. If that's all they're doing, they're at least getting the reps in. And then as they get to be about a 7, 8, 9, they might be able to start visualizing that routine. And then all the way to college athletes where they can totally see themselves visualizing the routine. So if that for you happens before you take the warm-up floor, maybe that happens after you take the warm-up floor. Sometimes I've seen teams, especially at college, where they had time to do it right there on the warm-up floor, which is awesome. So making sure that you're visualizing is key. If you are not doing visualization, I'm going to just call you out as a coach. Like, you're behind the times. Okay. There's so many studies out there of how visualization is just as beneficial as actually doing it. So here's a study that happened at the University of Chicago in 1996 on visualization. The researchers, they split students up and they randomly selected them to do a series of free throws. So the students were divided into 3 groups and they were asked to perform separate tasks over a 30-day period. First group was told, don't touch a basketball for 30 days, no practicing or playing basketball whatsoever. Second group was told to practice shooting free throws for a half hour a day for 30 days. Third group was to come to the gym every day for 30 days, spend a half hour with their eyes closed, simply visualizing hitting every free throw. After 30 days, all 3 groups were asked to come back and take the same number of free throws they had at the beginning of the study. So what happened? Well, the first group of students who didn't practice showed no improvement. There's no surprise there, right? Second group who practiced every day showed a 24% improvement. Here's the crazy thing. The third group, they didn't actually touch the basketball. They didn't actually shoot the basketball. This group simply visualized them successfully making the free throws. They showed a 23% improvement. How crazy is that? Our subconscious brains, they do not know the difference between reality and imagination. Our brains are still active when we're doing the skill. So you can do this for your routine. You're running through the routine and the skills, and they can visualize that. And it's also saving that energy for when they're getting ready to take the floor. So visualization is definitely key. It calms the nervous system. It allows brains to function faster. It builds confidence. It reduces stress. And it also allows presence and connection. And your team, that's something, presence and connection, when a team has that, it's called chemistry. And that's something that has to be built over time, and it has to be intentional. You can tell which teams, when they take the floor, have that chemistry and which ones don't. It's a feeling. That's what we're doing. We're trying to get an audience to feel something. Number 9, hype up team. So this could be team chants, claps, cheers, leaders, coaches, inspiration moments. Pour into your athletes. Let them know how proud you are of them, what they need to do to be successful on the floor. Usually for me with a youth team, I'm like, my favorite comment is to say, be a smart dancer. So ending that warm up with that positivity that we got you, I trust you, let's go, be smart dancers, and whatever your team chant may be. This gives a great conclusion to your warm-up and a solid way to say that we just won the warm-up, and give them that feedback right there. Like, we just won this warm-up. Let's go. That's going to give them even more confidence. Finally, number 10, have a plan between your warm-ups and the floor. At nationals especially, there can be a lot of time between you've warmed up and then you go down the stairwell, in the hallway, in the backstage, and then you hear the crowd, and then there's teams coming off. There's a lot going on, right? So in that downtime, what are you going to have the team do? I personally think the team circling up is best, keeping in your bubble. I've seen different teams do different things. It could be prayers, it could be shout outs, it could be affirmations, it could be hugs, it can be dance circle, free dance, hype up, whatever that is. Like, make sure you have a plan. Standing around, watching the teams in front of you, or just looking outside of your bubble, again, can break that circle. So making sure that you have that downtime also planned on what they're going to do. Also, I feel like these moments are the moments that they're going to remember about their teams. It's the core memories that are being made backstage with your team the moment you go on. They're going to remember those moments, and that's also going to positively affect your culture. For the tinies and minis, coaches, even sometimes our youth, have them obviously lined up. I know you practice who goes where all the time, but when you get into that environment, all of a sudden it seems like our tinies and minis are like, I don't know who I stand by. So just make sure that you have that. If you don't have it memorized, write it down for yourself, just to give them that sense of calm. But I know the struggle is real. Those younger coaches of making sure dancers are in the right spot, especially tinies. Oh man, don't trust tinies to know where they stand. Even though you feel like, oh, they got it, still have your cheat sheet available just in case. So those are my top 10 things on how to win your warm-up. Number 1, plan. Have a plan. 2, practice. Practice what that warm-up's going to be. 3, coach's energy. Making sure that you stay calm and keep your anxiety at bay. Formations. Don't get stuck in them, but also have a plan. And don't forget the handy dandy laser. Number 5, are you going to break it up in quarters or do a full out? What is your choice of that? Limit your feedback. Number 6. Number 7, is it a fluke or a pattern with that skill? If it's a pattern, let's take the skill out. If it's a fluke, make sure you're pouring into that dancer, that you believe in them. And again, don't dwell, move on. Number 8, visualize. Visualization is key for success. And number 9, hype up the team, have those team chants. And finally, number 10, have the plan between the warm-up and the performance floor. I hope you found today's episode helpful and inspiring. If you heard something that you like, please be sure to share it with your coach bestie, and like and subscribe to the podcast where you listen to your podcast, and on our YouTube channel. Thank you for listening, and congratulations to all the dancers taking the nationals floor this season. You got this.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Marley podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Beyond the Marley